Hello, welcome to this short, and in this short we are talking what to do after you have already pronounced someone dead. Who do you call and what do you tell them? On the board behind me I have some details. Let's get into those details. First of all, who are you going to call? You're going to call the patient's doctor or the coroner first of all. Depending on what's going on is going to kind of guide who you're going to call. Essentially what you're calling for is someone to sign the death certificate. So you have to think, who is the most appropriate person to sign this death certificate? So you have to think kind of a little bit behind the etiology of why they were dead, why they were pronounced dead. Was this a routine thing that they just, the culmination of their chronic illnesses caught up to them? Doctor more than likely is going to be the most appropriate person to sign that. They're the person most familiar with the patient. They've been prescribing them medications, doing assessments throughout years, and they have a whole picture of the patient's health from medically speaking, so they would be the most appropriate person. If something unexpected happened, maybe some sort of traumatic event, or you could say a traffic accident that was fatal, or some sort of violent act, or an overdose, or something like that, a deviation from their normal chronic illnesses, that led to their demise, patient's physician is probably not going to feel very comfortable signing off on that because it most likely was not due to things that they were aware of. And so the coroner is going to be the person that you're going to call. And I have that phone number here for you. This is the Allen County Coroner. They're 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can reach someone at this phone number, 260-449-7389, 260-449-7389. So that's who you're calling. Again, the patient's doctor is going to be the most appropriate person in many scenarios because they're the most familiar. So I would try contacting them first. If you are unable to contact them due to the hour or the week or it's a holiday and maybe you just can't do it, or maybe they say no, they will not feel comfortable, then go ahead and contact the coroner. But the coroner is inundated with people, asking them to sign because that's a part of their job. But if you can get a hold of the patient's physician, go ahead and do that. That's going to save them a lot of work and effort, and it's more appropriate in many scenarios. Okay, so now we've gone over who to contact, but what are you going to tell them, okay? Essentially, think of if you were asked to sign the death certificate of someone. You would want to know a lot of information, not just their name and it was a cardiac arrest. We can go into a lot more detail than that, all right? So let's start with time of death. Over here I mock generic info for you. So I have time of death, 1200. Name, their first and last name. Date of birth, their social security number. Address, where they reside, next of kin, and a phone number for that next of kin. You're also going to want to list medical history, so medications that they were on, allergies they had, any recent hospital or doctor visits or injuries, as well as events leading up to why you are there in the first place. If you are not able to gather some of that info, which I understand. Sometimes, I can't get the patient's social. They didn't even have an ID on them, or they just had a driver's license and there was nothing else there. That's okay. Get what you can. Sometimes law enforcement can kind of run them in their system and pull some of that intel, so you can collaborate with them. But know that just get what you can and leave out what you can't. You can't present information that just wasn't there, and just explain that to the coroner or the patient's doctor if they want to know information that you just don't have. Sorry, ma'am, sir, I wasn't able to obtain that social security number for you or that phone number. Here's my circumstance. This is why. And I would say most of the time people are pretty cool and understanding about that. So that's who you should call, why you should call them, and the info that you're going to want to present to them. And if you have any questions, just reach out, let me know. Thanks.